on a tiny little magical box that has more computing power than what NASA needed to go to the moon. If they even did go to the moon, I'm still kind of torn if that happened.
Yeah, buddy. Lightweight, baby!
What's up, guys? I'm Josh and I Lift Things, and I'm here to talk about natties. What even is a natty? Now, there's a very simple definition of a natty, or a natural lifter. You know, Liver King, Mike O'Hearn. But for those that don't know what I'm talking about, let me break this down a little bit further. A natty is supposedly a natural lifter, as opposed to someone who is not natty, which would be someone who is on PEDs, or performance-enhancing drugs. Now, what do I mean when I say PED? Well, it's a very interesting, open-ended, and nebulous term in and of itself. Again, if PED stands for performance-enhancing drugs, well, of course, steroids would fall into that camp. And more accurately, we're talking about anabolic androgenic steroids, or AAS for short. And these are probably the most famous or widely known PED that an athlete would abuse. So we can virtually agree. Someone that uses steroids, they are not natty, right? But things are much more complicated than that. Organizations such as WADA or USADA, which is the World Anti-Doping Agency and the United States Anti-Doping Agency, have their own list of quote-unquote PEDs, or banned substances, of which you are not allowed to use if you are in a sport or competition that uses WADA or USADA's tests in order to see who is cheating and not. To give an example, WADA is who controls the Olympics, and USADA is responsible for the UFC's drug testing. So they are pretty high up in the chain of command. As far as what is a natty or not, they are a pretty good authority. Let's take a peek at this quick banned substance list. The World Anti-Doping Code, International Standard Prohibited List of 2023. Now, here are just the classes of drugs, let alone the actual specific substances in each classification. Anabolic agents, peptide hormones, growth factors, related substances, and mimetics, beta-2 agonists, hormone and metabolic modulators, diuretics, and masking agents. And that is banned at all times, specifically in competition, no stimulants, narcotics, cannabinoids, glucocorticoids. In particular sports, we have beta blockers. Now for the anabolic androgenic steroids themselves, we have androstenediol, androstenedione, epiandrosterone, testosterone, androstenediol, hydroxytestosterone, yada 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 yada. Other anabolic agents such as clenbuterol or SARMs. As you can see, the list is quite extensive, and there are far more things than just steroids to be concerned about, at least in the sense of trying to make a fair competition, of which WADA and USADA have been historically terrible at, primarily because the entire premise of anti-doping is bad. Go watch the Clarence Kennedy video. I will put a card up here, or I'll link it in the description or the comments. Go watch to see why drug testing just doesn't work. But the WADA or USADA ban list isn't even the full story. Let's say, for instance, you compete in a tested powerlifting federation. Well, their list can be entirely different than WADA or USADA's. Let's say you took something that's banned on the WADA list, but isn't banned by your powerlifting federation. Are you no longer natty? Let's really dig into this natty thing for a moment. For instance, one of the most common steroids that someone will ever use is testosterone. Testosterone is considered a bioidentical, meaning the steroid testosterone that you inject is the same thing as the testosterone that is naturally produced in your body. The only difference is it's exogenous, meaning it's coming from outside of the body, versus endogenous, meaning your body has created it. If someone is on a massive dose of testosterone, putting their blood testosterone readings far out of the normal reference range, we could all probably agree that person's not natty. But what if someone is on TRT, or testosterone replacement therapy? These people, if done appropriately, get blood work done and have probably been diagnosed with some form of hypogonadism, meaning their gonads or their nuts aren't actually producing enough testosterone, either because they aren't receiving the signal from their brain to do so, or because the nuts just don't work. Let's say someone is using that appropriate TRT protocol, and the testosterone that they inject is enough to put them in a normal reference range. They are completely the same compared to just a regular healthy man. Is that person natty? Well, naturally, they don't produce enough testosterone, so they probably aren't natty, but they also have no real advantages other than some maybe minute things such as more stable hormones, depending on the schedule in which they inject, or also, I guess, they will have a easier time, like maybe cutting, because they won't have to worry about the testosterone naturally dropping because of that, but very minute things in the grand scheme of things. So are they natty for virtually all intents and purposes? Human growth hormone, or HGH, or just GH for short, is also a bioidentical. But if you were injecting 6 IUs of GH every single day, that person probably wouldn't be natty, right? What about beta antagonists? We saw those on the list of banned substances, but they are quite literally just asthma medication. If someone uses a bronchodilator in order to breathe, are they now considered not natty? I got my inhaler right in the bag, dude. I want to keep my natty card. Does the fact that their performance is stunted by asthma, but then possibly brought up higher than baseline thanks to medication sway your opinion? Hell, to get really in the weeds, what about whey protein powder? Sure, it's just a powderized version of a byproduct from the cheese making process. But does that happen in nature? What about creatine? It's found in red meat and fish, but to get like the 5 grams that are needed a day reliably, you would have to eat a massive amount of red meat or fish. It's obviously much easier to consume a synthesized powder. What about magnesium pills, or hell, any supplement for that matter? Caffeine is a massive performance enhancer, but no one who drinks a Red Bull before a workout would be considered not natural. Hell, you're watching this video, and more than likely on a tiny little magical box that has more computing power than what NASA needed to go to the moon. If they even did go to the moon, I'm still kind of torn if that happened. How the fuck is that natural? We should be on the Serengeti chasing down boars with sharp rocks. But wait, actually, I just thought of this. Is the Stone Age natural? You may be thinking, Josh, this is a stupid fucking video. And you're not wrong. If someone is on steroids, they are not natty, right? But what about insulin, HGH, IGF-1? What about SARMs? What about GH secretagogues? What about ecdy steroids, as much as a meme they are? Shout out testosterone. If testosterone itself, which is a steroid, if that's a PED and can make someone not natty, what about one of those quote-unquote natural test boosters with fucking ashwagandha or horny goat weed? If that actually put you out of the normal reference range, would that be considered not natty? Why is all of a sudden injecting something make someone not natty? Keep in mind, there are oral steroids. In reality, the natty or not debate is just stupid. And hopefully this thought experiment has led you to a similar conclusion. A billion things could make someone natty or not, depending on how far you want to stretch the definitions. Hell, I lived in an air-conditioned gym with fucking iron plates that were forged, across the goddamn world and then were shipped here by drones. That's not natural. Everyone can decide what is or isn't natty. There's no clear distinction between the two. And also, it doesn't matter in the fucking slightest. If you aren't in a sport that drug tests, who the fuck cares? You just have to follow the rules of the place you are competing in. If you make fitness content and you use your body as a selling point, and that body was built with gear or some other PED, and you try to attribute your success to some shady supplement that you sell, that's also bad. Go fuck yourself. But if the natty or not thing is just your own personal vendetta because you think steroids somehow take away the hard work that someone has to put in order to achieve the physique that they have, then just don't do anything that would ever make you not natty. But again, how do you define that? All this being said, I'm not natty. I am fatty. And guys, that is the video. If you like this style of content, do me a favor, hit the like button only if you like it. Subscribe, because I post a new video every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, so you want to be alerted when the next one comes out. Leave a comment down below. Let me know what you consider to be natty or not, and I will let you know why that's a silly idea. If you really like this style of content, you can follow all of these socials. They will be linked down in the description. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.